News 3 Now, live at 4.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Live at 4. I'm Brady Mallory.
And I'm Sarah Carlson. Susan is off today.
We're following stories of 2 fiery crashes in Madison today.
And we have a suspect in a Madison shooting that's been arrested.
And we're also following up on reports of a person shot in Madison.
And we'll continue to follow all of those stories as we learn more. But first, right now, Jacob Montesano is here with the first warn weather forecast declaring an alert day. Jacob, what's going on?
Well, we're going to see some snow accumulation, but only for some areas tonight. Now, this is mainly for areas north of the Dells. Places between the Dells and Madison could see some light accumulation, but the alert day is only for areas north of the Dells, where we are expecting about anywhere from 1 to as much as 4 inches of slushy snow for tonight into early tomorrow. Now, as we take a look at the current weather bulletins, there are winter weather advisories in effect for Juneau and Adams County, as well as counties to the north of that. But notice the rest of the area not under that winter weather advisory, and most of the region will see all, if not most, all to mostly rainfall with this system. Now, right now we are seeing some light showers pass through parts of the area, nothing too heavy right now, and we'll see more consistent rain move into the area a little bit later in the evening. So taking a look at future track, most of the region will see it start out as rainfall, but as we get closer to the early morning hours Tuesday, notice up to the north we'll start to see some of that rain transition into snowfall. Also notice that Madison and areas to the south very likely to see only rain with this system, but those places off to the north will continue to see a little bit of a mix of rain and snow, maybe even a little bit of some freezing rain and sleet, but it's mostly going to be rain or snow for those areas to the north, and a lot of this far southern Wisconsin going to see mostly rain from this, and this is also mostly going to occur tonight with a lot of tomorrow featuring pretty dry conditions. So I'll continue talking more about this system, and I'll continue talking more about the rest of the week coming up a bit later.
Thank you, Jacob. The First Warn Weather Team got you winter ready a few weeks ago, but they're not letting that momentum go. This week is Wisconsin Winter Weather Awareness Week. They went to the National Weather Service in Milwaukee to help you understand what goes into NWS issuing winter storm warnings and advisories.
For winter storm warnings, say our typical guideline is about 6 inches of snowfall. But it can be a big difference if we're going to get that 6 inches of snowfall in like 3 hours versus 24 hours.
And you can hear more from Tim and the National Weather Service on channel3000.com. And there you can find the entire Winter Ready special. And speaking of special, look at this. It's the time of the year to announce the first winner of the First Warn Weather Winter Shovel. Drum roll. Congratulations, Amy Malore from Dodgeville. How about that? And tomorrow we'll hear more from the First Warn Weather Team and Tim about snow squalls.
It's fun to have fun with the snow, right? And as we keep you winter ready, we have a few snow rule reminders for our area. In Fitchburg, city officials say that alternate side parking restrictions are now in effect through March, 7 days a week, regardless of weather conditions. Fitchburg's ordinance says that between 1 and 7 a.m., cars have to be parked on the odd side of the street on even-numbered calendar days and on the even side of the street on odd calendar days. And then in Platteville, winter parking rules are also in effect now from now through April. They have similar parking rules. However, the Platteville City website has more specifics on which streets you cannot park on overnight, as well as cul-de-sac and snow emergencies.
Madison police have arrested a person of interest after a man with a gunshot wound walked into a fast food place on the city's west side late last night.
And that victim, who showed up at the restaurant near Odana Road and Whitney Way around 10 p.m., was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries and is expected to survive. This afternoon, police executed a search warrant on Whitney Way, taking the suspect into custody on a Department of Corrections hold. Investigators say the incident appears targeted and there is no threat to the public. The Violent Crime Unit is leading this case. Well, odds are if you were on the Beltline at all this morning, you noticed a tall plume of smoke or drove past a mess of metal and flames.
A multi-vehicle crash caused this huge car fire on the highway by Todd Drive shortly before another crash, which killed one person on the east side. Arman Rahman joins us in the studio with details on both of these incidents. Arman?
That's right, Brady and Sarah. It was somewhat of a scary day for drivers. Here on the west side, first responders say no one was transported to the hospital. But over at the east side scene on Pflaum and Buckeye Road, one person had to be removed from the vehicle and died on scene. Madison police have confirmed to me that they do not believe the two incidents are related. The first crash caused by two drivers racing on the Beltline eastbound. One of the cars hit an unrelated vehicle and pushed it into a semi-truck, causing it to flip onto the westbound lane and catch on fire like you see here. 3 people got into another vehicle and allegedly left, according to authorities. They caused all westbound lanes and 2 eastbound lanes of the Beltline at Todd Drive to close. It took crews roughly 8 minutes to put that car fire out.
When we're responding to the Beltline, we're not only concerned about the hazards of the fire itself, but we have to be cognizant of the traffic that's occurring around us. And that's why it's so important for motorists to slow down and move over as far to the right as possible or away from the scene.
Then not 20 minutes later, a call came in for a vehicle fire on the frontage road of Highway 51 at Buckeye Road. Police say the driver there slammed into a tree. First responders removed a person from the vehicle who was pronounced dead. Now tonight at 5 and 6, hear from an eyewitness to the large vehicle fire here on the west side.
We'll see you then. Thank you, Armand. November is Alzheimer's Awareness Month, and local leaders are recognizing the millions of Americans living with Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. Today at Dane County Regional Airport, officials announced new efforts to make travel safer and more inclusive for individuals living with dementia. Airport leaders highlight new terminal features that include quieter spaces, improved signage, and special staff training, each designed to make the airport experience easier for those living with cognitive and sensory challenges.
Dementia doesn't pause when someone needs to travel or visit a loved one or navigate a busy place that is public. Airports can be stressful for all of us under even the best of circumstances, and we work really hard here in Dane County to make sure that our airport is friendly for folks to be able to navigate.
And travelers living with hidden disabilities can choose to wear a sunflower lanyard as a subtle signal they may need some more time and assistance. Dane County's Human Services team says these changes are part of a bigger push to build a supportive community for families affected by dementia, not just at the airport, but across parks, libraries, and other spaces.
And roughly a quarter of pregnant women in the United States do not get prenatal care in their first trimester. That's according to a new report from the nonprofit March of Dimes. Beginning prenatal care early is critical because it provides the longest possible window to support a pregnant mother's health. However, the new report indicates starting it after the first trimester appears to be a growing yet dangerous trend in the U.S. According to the report, only about 75% of babies last year were born to mothers who started that prenatal care in the first trimester.
The Goodman Community Center is continuing its 37-year-long tradition of distributing food baskets as families face food insecurity. In Wisconsin, 1 in 8 people struggles with hunger, including more than 200,000 children. You can start donating money online right now at goodmancenter.org/donate. Also online is a shopping list for all the groceries needed. Again, you can start donating money online right now. Once again, that's goodmancenter.org/donate. And there you can find that shopping list for all of the groceries.
We are seeing a record high of community members coming to use our pantry services, and that really indicates that something's happening in the wider world.
The center needs donations of frozen turkeys, stuffing, and other Thanksgiving groceries. And once again, you can also donate money or volunteer to help distribute those baskets. The center plans to reach its goal of serving 4,000 households this Thanksgiving. Donations can be dropped off at the Goodman Community Center until this Sunday. Next on Live at 4, the Packers may have beat the Giants yesterday, but they are still sitting at number 2 in the NFC North Conference. Our senior Packers writer Jason Wilde shows us about the roadmap to the end of the season.
And then we have Josh in the 608 with a look at a Madison tradition that gets bigger and better every year, the Olin Park Lights. He also has some advice on how to avoid getting slowed down by that John Nolan Drive construction project.
And I'm talking with a man named Carl Kerfman from Sun Prairie about the underlying dangers of diabetes and how he saved his vision.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
Welcome back, everyone. Now to breaking news that we mentioned a little earlier. Madison police have confirmed that a person has been shot on the city's north side this afternoon. It happened around 3 o'clock on Brentwood Parkway and Marina Park. Police say this is an active situation, and we do have crews heading to the scene. We'll check in with them later on in this broadcast. Now in the 608, we're changing the subject a bit. Oh, now we're taking a look at the scene. Again, this is an active situation. This happened around 3 o'clock today. Madison police confirming the person has been shot, and we will be certain to have more details as soon as they become available.
Well, in the 608, the holiday fantasy in lights is returning. It's one of the season's best drive-through displays in Madison.
Josh Spreiter was at Olin Park before the sunrise this morning to learn what's new for 2025.
It is officially the holiday season in Madison, so we had to come out dark and early to check out the holiday fantasy in lights. And joining us today is Mike Killian of IBEW 159. Mike, good to see you.
Hi, Josh.
So this is looking great, and the lights are officially on. The weekend event went off without a hitch.
Yes. Yep, everything went on really good.
You know, looking at 37 years of this tradition, it's amazing to see the community partners that really continue lifting you up.
Yeah, 37 years. We started over in Warner Park. The event got so big they wanted us to move it to a spot where they can handle more traffic, which is Olin Park here. And the event's just gotten bigger over the years, and it's been really good to see everybody, the community, just come out and visit all the lights.
And this is such a family event. Of course, it's a drive-through event. You enter here, you drive all the way through, and you guys try to make this different every year to make it new.
Yeah, so we'll change the location of the displays, and then always add new ones. We always put all our donations that we get at the end of the drive-through and make new displays or donate them to charity.
How do these donations give back?
Sure, so we give the donations to the UW Burn Center and some of the food pantries around.
So you get to come have fun, but also make an impact in the community.
Correct, yep, and all the donations we have stay local, either in the event or the charities that are local here.
Oh, that's awesome. So how long do people have to be able to come out and check out the lights?
Sure, so they're on now, and they'll be on till the first of the year.
So plenty of time, and you can get those candy canes at the end just during the evening hours.
Correct, yep. The donation booths will be open about 4 o'clock till 10:30.
Awesome. Well, Mike, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
You bet, Josh. Thank you.
The lights look great, and if you'd like to come see it for yourself, we have everything you need to know, including some of the best ways to avoid that John Nolan Drive construction if you're coming down here. Just go to this story up on our website. At Olin Park at Holiday Fantasy and Lights, I'm Josh Spreiter, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Josh. Oh, that display is always wonderful to see. Well, our warm weather has gone, and now the snow is coming back, prompting an alert day. Here's Jacob Montesano with what we are looking at. Jacob?
Thanks, Brady. Now, I'll get to the alert day in just a moment, but this week is Winter Weather Awareness Week, and today we're talking about the difference between the watches and warnings. So for a winter storm watch, this is usually put out a few days before the storm, probably around 2 to 3 days. And in this situation, it's important to be prepared for the potential of a winter storm. Now, the Winter Weather Advisory is put out more closely to the events. This is when we are expecting some snowfall, causing some travel impact, but not a massive amount of it. Then we have a winter storm warning, which is advised to avoid travel where heavy snow and or freezing rain will likely cause significant travel impacts. And then above winter storm warning, a blizzard warning is basically a winter storm warning with the added wind part of it. Now, as I talk about the winter weather advisory, that is what is in effect for Juneau and Adams County to the north of Madison. We'll see about 1 to 4 inches of slushy snow accumulation, maybe about an inch, maybe a little bit less in the southern portion of the county. The better chance of snow will be just to the north of our area, but most of the region will likely see at least rain. And as we look at the alert day, this is only for locations north of the Dells. Still could see some slippery roads for the rest of the region, but I don't expect to see really any accumulation for areas to the south of the Dells. Maybe some locations between the Dells and Madison might see a little bit of a dusting. Now, this is going to be tonight into tomorrow morning, and right now we're just seeing a few light rain showers. Looks like there is a little bit of some snow flurries in the northern portion of the region, but for the most part, we're really not seeing much yet, and we're still not going to see much until we get closer to around 8 to 9 p.m. where we will start to see that rain move into the region, and most of the the area, as I mentioned, only going to see rain from this, and it is likely to rain at some point tonight. And then as we get closer to sunrise, look at the rain in the northern portion of our area, likely going to transition to snow. And during the morning hours on Tuesdays when we will likely see the best chance of accumulation. But this system is going to clear up pretty quickly once we get to around noon. And by this time tomorrow, a lot of the precipitation, if not all of it, will have cleared out of the region. So to time all this out, mostly rain expected between 6 to 9, from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Still going to see mostly rain, but we could see a rain-snow mix for areas north. And then 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. tomorrow morning is the best chance for the snow north of Madison. And the precipitation will begin clearing out between 9 a.m. to noon tomorrow morning, with the precipitation ending by the afternoon. And as far as the snowfall accumulation forecast, is only going to be for the areas to the north, about 1 to 2 inches, although I do think it's possible if we get some heavier bands of snow that it could get up to around 3 to 4 inches. But I would say a good bet will be kind of right around 2 for Camp Douglas, maybe a little bit more in the far northern portion of Juneau and Adams County. Now after that, we're really not going to see a ton of precipitation for the rest of the week, or really the rest of the 10-day forecast. We have some better chances next week, but we also will see the temperatures warm up just a little bit, with 50s possibly returning by Thursday, maybe again on Sunday.
All right, pretty active. Thank you, Jacob. And the Packers, speaking of active, have kept the Giants at just 2 wins for the season.
Yeah, but that wasn't without a quarterback shoulder injury and a running back knee injury. Our senior Packers writer Jason Wilde shows us from Green Bay.
The Packers got good news on running back Josh Jacobs upon their return from New York following Sunday's 27-20 victory over the New York Giants, a game that Jacobs left with a knee injury. Turns out, as Matt LaFleur says, it's a contusion. That means it's a bruise, which means he won't need surgery. He won't need to go on injured reserve. And there's a chance he could be ready for Sunday's game here at Lambeau Field against the Minnesota Vikings.
It's a contusion, so it's just more or less trying to get the swelling down. And unfortunately, that's a pretty hard surface over there.
Now, Josh Jacobs was off to a strong start against the Giants. He had 7 carries for 40 yards before his injury. Sounds like Matt LaFleur thinks that might have been caused by the concrete quality surface that they play on at MetLife Stadium. But the good news is Josh Jacobs could be ready for Sunday. If he's not, Emmanuel Wilson and Chris Brooks are set to handle the running back duties. We'll have full coverage of everything Packers on our website, channel3000.com. And while we're there, make sure you sign up for our Packers newsletter, which delivers that coverage directly to your inbox every single day. In Green Bay at Lambeau Field, Jason Wilde, channel3000.com.
All right, thank you so much, Jason. Coming up on Live at 4, we have new details about a series of crashes around Madison, what police are saying about what may have caused them.
And then I'm talking with a man who is living with type 1 diabetes. He's sharing his story about how the disease almost robbed him of his vision and what he wants others to know.
The numbers on Wall Street today, it is red across the board. The Dow down 557 points, the NASDAQ lost 192, and the S&P 500 lost 61. A Sun Prairie man's greatest fear that he's had since childhood started to come true. It is Diabetes Awareness Month.
And you may think you know the ins and outs of the disease, but Carl Kerfman is sharing his story so you can get a clearer picture of some of the underlying dangers and what he did to keep something he values most. The way Carl Kerfman sees it,
it's my favorite time of year.
The world is a beautiful place.
The reds, the golds, every shade that trees have is something that we appreciate every day.
There was a time when things almost went dark for Kerfman.
I couldn't see hardly at all.
Kerfman has had type 1 diabetes for nearly 50 years. Not too long ago, he noticed the disease started affecting the vision in his right eye.
I had these giant, just floaty blobs, and I couldn't see well at all.
It's a condition called diabetic retinopathy. The complication can develop in anyone with diabetes. Since individuals with diabetes can't properly process sugar, over time, too much sugar in the blood can damage the tiny blood vessels that are in the eye, cutting off the blood supply to the retina. Dr. Amal Kulkarni, Kerfman's ophthalmologist with SSM Health, says it's a serious condition that causes blurred vision or worse.
If these abnormal blood vessels continue to bleed, that can cause dense bleeding, scar tissue, pull on the retina, causing a detached retina that might cause permanent vision loss.
Kerfman says The possibility of losing his vision was something he'd worried about ever since he was diagnosed as a little kid.
But it terrified me. It terrified me, and I would pray every single day, literally, not to let that happen.
He says he found a treatment that was a godsend. He had laser treatments.
These black spots and white spots are actually the areas of laser treatment.
And eye injections that cleared up and saved his vision.
You know, he continues to see 20/20 in his both eyes. He's very active in his work. He does an amazing job with his diabetes control.
You just wouldn't be able to do that probably if you couldn't see very well. Yeah. So.
Don't worry though, Kerfman didn't feel a thing and says a needle like this in his eye actually wasn't all that bad.
The alternative is so much worse.
Between the fall leaves and precious memories, like his wedding photo.
We were a lot younger there. I had hair. So,
Carl Kerfman says the world is a beautiful place, and he's so glad he gets to see it.
I can't complain, not even a little bit.
Kerfman credits Dr. Kulkarni with saving his vision. Well, if you have diabetes, it is important to get a comprehensive dilated eye exam at least once a year. Diabetic retinopathy may not have any symptoms at first, but finding it early can help you take the steps to protect your vision. And Dr. Kulkarni said, you know, if you start noticing changes in your vision, get to the doctor as soon as you can, because you don't want to wait.
No taking chances. Great story,
oh, thank you.
Of course. And coming up on Live at 4, the White House is now changing courses on the release of the Epstein files. We'll have more on the reason for the change.
And we continue following new details on a situation on Whitney Way, 2 fiery crashes and a reported shooting.
And we're bringing you breaking news at Live at 4.
Well, Madison police say someone has been shot on the north side. We go now to our Maddie Heimsch, who is reporting live from the field. Maddie, what can you tell us?
15 police cars gathered here. As you can see, the yellow tape here, police have maybe 4 or 5 properties in length taped off on the street here, and they're coming in and out. We see a white tent, a table set up in the street here. But as far as the details of the shooting, that's really all we know, that someone was shot. As far as the status of the victim, who was involved, or what led to the shooting, that's information that we don't know yet as we're here on the scene. But we did talk to Madison police, and they're set to provide some updates in just a couple moments now. So we're going to head over there to learn a little bit more, and we'll keep you updated on air and online at channel3000.com. For now, reporting on Madison's north side, I'm Maddie Heimsch, News 3 Now.
All right, thank you so much, Maddie. And now we're headed to Jacob Montesano with an alert day in our First Warn forecast.
Thanks, Sarah. The alert day is only for locations north of the Dells where we could be seeing around 1 to 4 inches of some slushy accumulation by the time we get to tomorrow morning. And this is really going to begin over the next couple of hours. The rain will move in closer to around 8 to 9 p.m., but it is expected to continue through all of tonight and into tomorrow morning. And as we look at the winter weather advisories, it's only for Juneau and Adams County, but it is going to go into effect at 1 a.m. and last until noon tomorrow. Now, despite the fact that only 2 counties in our area are under that winter weather advisory, everyone will at least see rain tonight, or at least it looks very likely that everyone will see rain. And we're seeing some of that rain right now just in the form of some light showers, but we're not expecting the rainfall to be at a consistent pace until we get to around that 8 to 9 p.m. time range. But once it does move in, it is expected to last throughout much of the night. And even those areas in the winter weather advisory will likely see it start out as rain. But then as we get closer to Tuesday morning, closer to sunrise Tuesday, we'll see that rain transition to snow in the far northern portion of our area. You folks in Camp Douglas, you folks potentially near Watoma, that is where the accumulating snow is expected. Most of the area, though, not expected to see anything but rain. And as we get into Tuesday, it will last into the morning, but once we get to the afternoon, it will clear out of the region. So I'll continue talking more about this system and give you a full snowfall accumulation forecast. Again, it's mostly the accumulation will only be north of the Dells, and I'll talk also more about the rest of the week coming up a bit later.
Thank you, Jacob. Well, Madison police have arrested a person of interest after a man with a gunshot wound walked into a fast food restaurant on the city's west side late last night.
The victim, who showed up at the restaurant near Odana Road and Whitney Way about 10 p.m., was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries and is expected to survive. And then this afternoon, police executed a search warrant on Whitney Way, taking a suspect into custody on a Department of Corrections hold. Investigators say that incident appears targeted and there is no ongoing threat to the public. The Violent Crimes Unit is leading that case.
And Madison police say two drivers racing eastbound on the Beltline caused a fiery crash that hit one uninvolved vehicle and then pushed it into a semi. That vehicle then flipped into the westbound lanes and burst into flames. No one was taken to the hospital in relation to this crash, and firefighters put it out within 8 minutes. 3 people who were involved got into another car and then left the scene, but firefighters do say the car was not believed to be an electric vehicle as there was gasoline present.
And less than 20 minutes later, a separate crash was reported on the east side on Stoughton Road and Buckeye Road. That's where a vehicle hit a tree. The driver was removed from the vehicle but died at the scene. Police say the two incidents are not related.
The Madison Fire Department will conduct live fire training burns this Wednesday and Thursday on 2 donated homes along Milwaukee Street. The exercises, led by MFD Fire Training Division with help from McFarland and Sun Prairie firefighters, will take place at 3490 and 3510 Milwaukee Street on the former Voigt Farm property. Crews will start with smaller controlled burns in the morning, followed by full structure burns in the afternoon, weather permitting. Traffic will remain open and the public can safely watch from across the street. Officials ask residents not to call 911 about the visible smoke or flames at those properties.
Now to politics. In the face of growing GOP support for a bill urging the Justice Department to release all of the files on Jeffrey Epstein, President Trump appears to be reversing his stance on making the documents public.
Erica Brown has the details from the White House.
Amid growing calls from lawmakers, including Republicans, the House is expected to vote Tuesday on a measure compelling the Justice Department to release all its files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
Let's rip the Band-Aid off and get it done.
In a reversal, President Trump is now pushing for the release of the files. In a social media post late Sunday, the president wrote, quote, "We have nothing to hide, and it's time to move on from this Democrat hoax perpetuated by radical left lunatics in order to deflect from the great success of the Republican Party." Kentucky Republican Thomas Massie and California Democrat Ro Khanna led the bipartisan effort to force the vote.
I'd rather he release all these files. Someone was saying that his numbers would go up. I don't care if he gets the political win. It's not about Donald Trump. I don't even know how involved Trump was. There are a lot of other people who are involved who have to be held accountable.
President Trump has previously opposed the release of the files, saying he cut ties with Jeffrey Epstein years ago and has not been accused of wrongdoing.
They just keep bringing that up to deflect from the tremendous success of the Trump administration.
The bill would force the Justice Department to release all files and communications related to Epstein, as well as any information about the investigation into his death in federal prison. The bill is expected to pass the House with Republican support, but it remains unclear whether the Senate would take up the measure, and it would also need a signature from the president. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
President Trump has also started asking the Department of Justice to look into Epstein's alleged ties to prominent Democrats.
A 3-year-old buck at a local deer farm has tested positive for chronic wasting disease. The Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection has confirmed this. The farm is now under quarantine while state and federal veterinarians investigate. Chronic wasting disease is a fatal neurological illness in deer and moose caused by an infectious protein called a prion that attacks the animal's nervous system. Authorities say the quarantine will remain in place until the investigation is complete.
Well, Thanksgiving is the busiest holiday for travel, and this year roads and airports during the Thanksgiving holiday period are expected to be busier than ever. AAA predicts nearly 82 million people will travel at least 50 miles, that's 50, from home during the period that runs from the Tuesday before Thanksgiving to Monday, December 1st. That's 1.6 million more travelers compared to last Thanksgiving and a new record. AAA projects the majority of people, at least 73 million, will travel by car.
Anytime after lunchtime is when you're going to really see that traffic building, especially on the interstates at major metros.
6 million U.S. travelers are expected to take domestic flights as well over the Thanksgiving holiday period. That's a slight increase from last year as well. And Florida happens to be the most popular domestic destination because of its weather, theme parks, and cruise ports.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I suppose for Thanksgiving, why not? Well, next at Live at 4, we are helping you stay winter ready this week and all throughout the year.
Yeah, in case you don't go to Florida. Our chief meteorologist, Alex Harrington, stops by to talk about everything that's in store for this week and how you can win a shovel from the First Warn Weather Team.
And the third time's the charm for this movie. Our film critic talks about how you can see how you see me at a magic weekend in the box office. Live look at Ben Franklin Parkway in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's 45 and mostly cloudy, so not too far from what we have here. We all know Philadelphia is the birthplace of America, but did you know it's the home of the first zoo in the country? Opened back in 1874.
Well, there you go. Next trivia night.
There
you're
you
ready.
go.
It's a beautiful view there, too.
Yeah.
And look who we have.
Hi, everybody.
We have Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington here to kick off an important week of weather.
It is.
It's a Winter Weather Awareness Week, so what is it all about?
Well, really, it's a partnership with us and all the National Weather Service offices in the state, and every state that has winter weather will typically have a Winter Weather Awareness Week, and it just happens to be this week from the 17th through the 21st. So we have different topics to align with each day so that we can educate Wisconsinites. Now, we know a lot about winter weather here in southern Wisconsin, but it's always good to have a friendly reminder.
Exactly.
Yeah, it never hurts. And you and the weather team have been ahead of the curve because you started getting people prepared for things with your Winter Ready special.
Yeah, we sure did. We had our Winter Ready special that aired earlier in October 15th to be exact, because we really wanted to get southern Wisconsin ahead of the curve, as you said, Brady, for winter weather this year. And this week gives us an opportunity to revisit some of those topics again. So some of those topics being, and we take our Max computer here, we'll look at some of the topics that we're going to talk about this week. Winter storm watches and warnings, and we also are going to be talking about different types of paths of winter storms that we get in southern Wisconsin, like the Alberta Clipper and the Colorado Low. We're going to talk about snow squalls tomorrow. Of course, we got to talk about winter safety tips, and those winter safety tips are not just people safety tips. We also have pet safety tips, a little bit more on that in just a second. And then we're going to give our First Warn winter outlook for the 2025-2026 winter season. So today, that topic happens to be on watches, warnings, and advisories. We heard from Tim a little while ago on what goes into issuing winter storm warnings. Jacob's going to talk a little bit more about other advisories and watches and warnings. I just wanted to make note here that last year we had to change to cold headlines, as they're called. So now what we have are extreme cold watches, extreme cold warnings, and cold weather advisories, because it doesn't matter if we have cold weather because of wind chill or if it's no wind at all and it's just cold. Cold is cold. So we've had some changes with the naming. And of course, this week too, we're giving out the First Warn weather winter shovels as well. That was part of our contest as part of the Winter Ready special. And then we have some other guests.
I was going to say we have some special guests. I think we need to have cold as a bumper
Cold
sticker.
yes, cold
that
is
should be
cold.
his bumper sticker. But very special guests. It'll be kind of fun.
We do. On Wednesday, we're going to say hello to a very dear friend of mine. This is the late Eileen Harrington, one of my best friends, not just a grandma, not just a mom, but one of my very best friends. She has her own Facebook page, Weather with the Wise. Check it out. You can go to my Facebook and find it, or just search in Facebook. And she's got some pretty snappy things to say about winter weather in southern Wisconsin, among many other funny stories. We also have another good friend of mine. This is Loki, the weather whirlwind dog. We're going to hear from Loki and see Loki on Thursday and talk to his rescue service, ARVS, out of Sun Prairie, so that we can see what does ARVS need in order to help keep animals that they take in over the winter safe, happy, and healthy. As happy and as healthy and as spoiled as my good little buddy Loki is.
They deserve all
yes,
of them.
they do. So busy week for us weather-wise, but happy to share all of these tips and keep southern Wisconsin ahead of the curve on being winter ready.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex.
Well, coming up on Live at 4, Jacob will take another look at the first warn forecast. We'll be looking into alert day conditions for our area. We'll tell you when and maybe just how much snow we can expect.
And it's not a sleight of hand. Now You See Me is getting a warm welcome for its 3rd time in theaters. Film critic Will Loper shows us the magic on the screen.
News 3 Now, live at 4.
Well, it turns out that twists and turns and magic are everything we saw in the first 2 Now You See Me movies.
And now the box office is giving 21 million reasons to remember why this movie is not just a puff of smoke. Will Loper shows us Now You See Me, Now You Don't, and its return to the big screen.
Now You See Me, Now You Don't pulled off the trick, becoming the first in the series to open #1 at the box office while having the lowest opening with just 21 million. But should you see it in theaters, or will you wish it would just disappear?
In the world of magic, everything that disappears reappears. It is very good to be back.
Now You See Me first came out in 2013 and followed a group of magicians, played by Jesse Eisenberg, Isla Fisher, Woody Harrelson, and Dave Franco, pulling off heists through illusions and tricks.
Can you explain to me how you went from Las Vegas to Paris in 3 seconds? What do the kids call it these days? Oh, magic.
A sequel followed in 2016, and 9 years later, the 3rd film arrives, with the group teaming up with a younger generation of magicians to steal the largest diamond in the world.
Open sesame.
Still safe with me.
Relax. Diamonds are forever.
Like the first 2, this film features all the twists, turns, and switcheroos involving magic you could ever hope for. It doesn't reinvent cinema, but it's light, breezy popcorn entertainment that's worth seeing for any fans of the franchise. Also opening in theaters to #7 is the horror film Keeper.
Can I trust this man?
Tatiana Maslany plays a woman who travels to a remote cabin with her boyfriend where creepy things start to happen. Keeper comes from director Osgood Perkins, who previously brought us Longlegs and The Monkey. While the film excels at building tension and scary moments, the plot is a slog and the payoff is not satisfying. You'll want to skip Keeper. For Live at 4, I'm Will Loper.
So you're buying your ticket to The Keeper, right? Right now?
The Keeper, I couldn't watch. They were looking at me do this because, scary movies don't do it for me. But the Now You See Me, I don't think I knew about.
Yeah.
And I intend to watch.
It's a pretty popular franchise. It's not like, the biggest. I've seen the first one.
Okay.
I never got around to seeing the next bunch. But yeah, it definitely has a big following. I mean, it was #1 at the box office.
How about you? Have you ever seen them?
I never did, but maybe I'll stream it. The 4th one is already confirmed, so how about that? So they're onto something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
They're making money appear.
They're making, right.
Magic.
Exactly. So the Olin lights are already out there. Are you a big fan? Do you go right away?
I love driving by those, and I have to confess, I still have to actually visit it. Every time I drive by it all the time, I'm like, this is going to be the year, and this year I will make good on that. What do you think?
I think it's great. You make good. When my kids were little, it was a bigger deal, but now I like to go after things.
Yeah. So. And we're starting to get that kind of holiday weather coming for us.
It's been cold, and we're starting to see some snow move through. We actually have a winter weather advisory for parts of the area, and it is Winter Weather Awareness Week. Let's talk a little bit more about what these watches and warnings that we get during winter season actually mean. So for a winter storm watch, this is typically put out around 2 to 3 days before the storm when we're projecting a big winter storm. And now the reason it's to watch is because a lot can still change when it's around 2 to 3 days out. So the winter storm is just possible at that point. Winter weather advisory, which is what we're seeing for areas north of Madison, usually gets put out about a day or closer to the storm, where we are expecting travel impacts. But now winter storm warning, that's when the winter storm watch almost gets confirmed, and it's advised to completely avoid travel with significant travel impacts expected. And obviously when you get a blizzard warning, that's pretty much just a winter storm warning, but with the addition of some wind. You can also get a blizzard warning though just from a ground blizzard. Typically that happens more in the plains though. Now as we take a look at the current winter weather bulletins, again, winter weather advisory for Juneau and Adams County from 1 a.m. to noon. This is pretty much kind of a step below a winter storm warning, where we usually, usually winter weather advisories are for anything less than 6 inches, but also above around 1 inch. So we are expecting around 1 to 4 inches for areas north of the Dells, and we do have an alert day in the forecast for those locations. But although we don't have an alert day for everyone will at least see rainfall tonight. And we're starting to see some of that rain. Looks like there is a little bit of a wintry mix for some areas, just some light precipitation right now, but we'll see the bulk of the precipitation move in closer to around 8 to 10 p.m. And again, most of the area will see rain and could see rain potentially all night. But keep an eye on some of these northern counties that will start to see that rain transition into snowfall. And especially once we get towards Tuesday morning, the far northern portion of our area could see some snow, maybe some bands of heavier snow, as some accumulation, as I mentioned, definitely possible. And this is going to continue until about noon, and then it will really break up and clear out of the region by tomorrow afternoon. So to time it all out, again, it's really going to start around that 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. range. Mostly rain. Could even see a little bit of a mix anywhere from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. for those areas to the north, with the best chance of snow being between 3 a.m. and 9 a.m. and then the precipitation breaking up and clearing out around 9 to 12 p.m. tomorrow, and then after the noon hour is when it really will clear out of the region. And as far as accumulation goes, once again, pretty much north of the Dells, about 1 to 2 inches, although with some of the heavier bands could see up to 4 inches at the most, and areas possibly in Dodge County could see about maybe a ½ inch of snow. But Madison and areas to the south almost exclusively going to see rain with this. And then after that does clear out, not seeing any big precipitations for the rest of the week, a few small chances, but at that point in time, it likely will only be in the form of rain, as temperatures could warm up to the lower 50s again.
Food could be linked to precancerous polyps. And later on News 3 Now at 5, we continue to follow 2 fiery crashes in Madison and an arrest in relation to an overnight shooting. Thanks for watching Live at 4 today. We'll see you back here tomorrow. You can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.